Greetings and welcome, everybody, to this week's edition of Poly Weekly News. I'm your host, David Danto, and you see I got a Poly shirt on again. I'm rotating it back and forth. It's interesting. We're about a week or so, week and a half, as I'm recording this away from the ISE show, and we're going to be doing some interesting things at ISE this year. So I wanted to introduce you to a friend and have somebody on who'll talk to me a little bit about that and some other things. My friend John Stearns. John, say hello to everybody. Tell everybody who you are and what you do in the industry.
Sure. Yep. Hello, everyone. Hey, David. Nice to see you. Happy New Year. And thanks for having me on the show again. I'm John Stearns. I grew up in Massachusetts. I'm a New England native. Been down in the Philadelphia area for about 14 years now. And, in general, in the industry, been in the video conference industry for coming up on 18 years now. A lot of that was focused on the room side of the industry. I've worked both on the vendor side, the integrator side, from everything from startups to Fortune 100 companies. So good kind of diverse experience in the industry. And came over to Zoom back in 2020, which was certainly an interesting time in the world, and definitely an interesting time at Zoom, as you can imagine, and as you lived. And I came over when we were building out a team focused on our Zoom rooms and workspace products. So we're building a team of experts there. So that's what I do over here. I lead a team of specialists in this part of the product portfolio with rooms and workspaces here in the Americas.
That's an interesting journey. We've all had quite a bit of journey, and there's a lot of diaspora, a lot of talent that had been in one company that's moved around, and it's interesting to see where we've gone with the pandemic thrown in the middle as not quite a very good joke. It was actually pretty devastating. During the reason why I wanted to have you on, the first reason where you reminded me is during the month of December, you were putting daily tips out on social media about how to get the most out of Zoom and things that people weren't aware of. You give us an example of some of the top ones that you thought were really important for people to see and understand.
Sure. Yeah, absolutely. So, I'll talk very quickly about, kind of why I did that, because it's not something I've done. I mean, I try to stay pretty active on social and, keep updates on new products and features and whatnot. Hadn't done something, a daily series like that for 31 straight days. And so, I had some ask, like, is there enough topics to do something like that, over the course of the entire month of December? And I think really the basis around that is I do think that a lot of, our customers and a lot of the industry still thinks of us as, Zoom is just that meetings app, right? And we've really expanded the platform, especially over the last couple of years, and really built that out to a true UCaaS platform. And we've added so much to it that I think sometimes that gets lost in the mix, just with the excitement around, and preconceived notions around what Zoom is.
Yeah, I was sitting with Gary. So I'll let you finish your story. I was sitting with Gary Sorrentino, your colleague and my ex-financial services colleague, at an event in September, and he was asking people, all right, what Zoom features do you use? And people were talking about 2 or 3 or 4, and he was rattling off, what turns out to be hundreds of things that people just don't know is there and don't interact with.
Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah. And it happens all the time. So that's just an area where, we're constantly, needing to just evangelize, what other parts of the platform, customers that might not be aware of it, how can they leverage, the entitlement they have, their spend with Zoom and get the most out of it. So really the core idea around the holiday series was, just to educate customers, our hardware partners, our integrators, and even Zoomies, right? Just there's so much coming so fast that it's sometimes you need to digest it a little bit more, and no one's going to read through pages and pages of feature releases and release notes. So that was really what my focus was on there. Got a lot of positive feedback on it. In fact, there's a lot of requests for me to take those 31 tips and kind of build it into a single blog or a single white paper to share, because there ended up being a lot of good stuff that was in there. And it's probably something I'm going to do on a more of a regular basis, maybe not quite daily, but weekly basis and that type of thing. It was really focused around prioritizing, the most frequently asked questions I get from customers and partners. What were the most popular new features we launched over the last couple of months? And I think it especially was good timing coming out of Zoomtopia, our client conference, back in November, where we made a whole lot of announcements. I see your sticker there. It was great to see you there. There was a lot that came out that week, well beyond what my area is of Zoom Spaces. So even just following that up a few weeks later to talk about those specific features, especially the ones that released, since Zoomtopia. So that's really where the main focus was, you know, and then I can get into some of kind of the
Yeah,
top
give us like the
ones.
top or the most important ones or the ones you like the best. Give us like two or so of
Yeah.
an example, and obviously if you look up John Stearns on LinkedIn, you'll be able to find a lot of these tips. That's where we put a lot of them. But for people who don't want to go through that, give us a couple of examples.
Sure. Yeah, absolutely. So these probably won't be earth-shattering, ideas because they're topics that come up every single day, and they have, for some of them for quite some time. Interoperability. There's always, a huge focus and a lot of engagement around, what are we doing to integrate with other platforms, and because that's the normal world we live in, in this day and age is, even if the customer's putting in Zoom rooms, how do they get into WebEx meetings and Teams meetings and BlueJeans and Google Meet? So there were some big announcements and feature releases on interop that have made that even more open and easy to use for ad hoc meeting joined by meeting ID. Now we have home screen buttons you can put on the room controllers to enable better interoperability to other platforms. So I'd say that one is always a popular topic, and certainly was. Had a couple different topics on that in December. I think one of the other ones, which is interesting, is now really digging more into what we're doing with multi-stream and specifically multi-camera room designs. That's not new in the industry, as we know. Multi-camera room designs have been around for a long time, but our recent focus, and especially with Poly HP, in your portfolio, there's a lot of customers that deployed a whole lot of the all-in-one Android appliances for their huddle rooms, small, medium rooms, but have kind of waited to address some of their bigger rooms, their multi-purpose spaces, their board rooms, their training rooms, and stuff like that. So a lot of focus and questions and engagement around our ability now to support the ability to send multiple camera streams from a single Zoom room simultaneously. So that was a big one. And then just probably a couple more. Zoom Whiteboard has really taken off. It's been pretty remarkable since we launched the new persistent whiteboard tool, early last year, which is available across not just rooms, but across the mobile client and the desktop client. But now bringing those digital whiteboards to life in conference rooms has become, a big focus as well. And that's not new to the industry, as we know. There's been all sorts of digital whiteboard solutions for decades now. But I think the fact that it's really integrated into the workflow and the platform has made it, that much more accessible to users. Because we did try to focus on not just power users that need 1,000 different tools, but how does someone fire up a Zoom meeting, start whiteboarding, and not have to get trained on it? So the ease of use and focus there was a big one for us. And then I'd probably say the most surprising one, there was a lot of engagement around our Zoom One offer. And it's more of a bundled, enterprise agreement type offer. It's not really a product that, that we're offering. It's a way to consume more of our services together. But there was a lot of focus on that. And I think the reason for that is probably the two most common focus areas that I hear from folks in all different industries right now. I think everyone is hyper focused on where can they reduce costs, right? I think people were okay spending on multiple platforms during the pandemic. Where we're at now is how do we start to reduce some costs, reduce some redundancy of certain services. And then the other one is how do we consolidate apps, right? I think so many people went out and bought point solutions that were kind of best of breed at the time for everything from the room, what goes in the rooms, software and hardware, digital signage, reservation platforms, whiteboarding tools. And now, so that was a big focus with Zoom One is we can help with both those areas, really cutting costs and consolidating those apps, which I think is resonating a lot.
Yeah, we've been involved in a couple of great deals together and putting that in front of clients and making them see the benefits of it. And also, the benefits of how work is changing. We talk about to whatever extent, hybrid work and hot desking is going on. And, the idea that a number of clients and potential clients ask me at conferences and trade shows, hey, what can we use as a tool to, assign desks? What can we use to hot desk? And I say, you already own it. You're
Yeah.
using it. You have Zoom. It does it. Just open the client, use the cameras, use the QR codes, use the devices, and it's already built into the system you already own. Doesn't cost anymore. And that floored a lot of people when I explained that to them.
Yeah, yeah, it commonly comes up. It's not only, are sometimes customers and others in the industry, kind of amazed that we have, products in that area. But then when they learn that they're already, entitled to it, like digital signage is one that is not commonly, the reason, people are buying Zoom rooms, but the fact that they realize that, they deploy a couple rooms and now they can set up unlimited signage across their entire global organization. They're surprised by that. So that's an area to look at.
Yeah.
And
And
sometimes
again,
there's more, sophisticated requirements for specialty solutions, but for, a lot of that, we end up solving a lot of their business needs with things that they already own, they already pay
yeah,
for.
and it can be something as simple and silly as the touch-up button. Half the people I speak to don't realize that there's a slider they can go into. Toward the left, I look like me. Toward the right, I look more like Tom Cruise. It just kind of works its way out. Or I wish it was that good.
Yeah,
But
yeah,
you can touch up a lot of the bags under your eyes and the rest of it. It's really interesting that all this stuff is built in.
yeah,
So
absolutely.
thank you for the tips. We appreciate them, and
Yeah,
and please keep them coming because people are interested.
yeah,
But speaking of running into clients at trade shows,
yeah,
when this show is gonna be premiering on the 23rd. That means about a week or so, week and a half, we're gonna see each other in Barcelona.
yeah,
By the time this recording, we're not doing this one live. This is a recording. So by the time this recording comes on, we're gonna know which one of us is happy or sad about our football team.
yeah,
But we're
exactly.
also going to meet each other instead of in Pennsylvania or New Jersey. We're going to meet in Barcelona for
Yeah,
ISE, and we're doing something interesting together at ISE, aren't we? You know a little bit about that, the labs that we're going to be running together, the Zoom interactive labs between Poly and Zoom, and maybe some of Poly's inferior competitors are doing a couple as well. But let's talk about the Poly ones.
Yeah, absolutely. I think just to hit on ISE, as we know, it's always an exciting one because it sort of kicks off trade show season, for us, and it's always starts over in Europe, as we know, and I feel like it comes quicker and quicker right after the holidays every year. It's amazing how quick it comes,
Mm-hmm.
and I think it sets the tone, because then obviously over in the States. We've got Enterprise Connect coming in March and Infocom's right behind it in June. And so I think a lot of folks in the industry like to use those events as opportunities to make a big splash and announce new features and stuff like that. So definitely excited about ISE, as we know, just such a massive show, over there. And yeah, the interactive labs, I think, is always, a huge hit at events like this. And specifically that we've partnered up with Poly HP on these, I think there's a ton of excitement around that, because I think in the past, our hardware partners might do similar things on their own, some of the vendor side platforms like Zoom, would kind of do some labs and testing and certifications and stuff like that. But I think it's especially exciting to clients and partners that have been coming saying, this is great to see you coming together with Poly HP on these. So I think that really has contributed to even more excitement around this first big event of the year.
Now, I will share the address to sign up for that. It should be, if I edit this correctly, right on the screen below me right now. No guarantee you can get in there. There's a very small capacity in some of these rooms, but please register. Again, register for ours, the ones with Poly HP, not our inferior competitors, and hopefully, either at one of those or just generally in Barcelona, John or I will be there. Run into us, say hi, say hello, ask us any kind of questions, and it's one of the biggest pleasures that I can have, talking to actual customers and end users of the products, finding out what's really going on for them, having them talk to each other. It'll be a wonderful opportunity. So
Yep.
we will both be there.
Absolutely. Yeah. Really looking forward to it. We've been through all sorts of virtual and hybrid events, over the last few years. And I think we've all learned a lot about what works and what doesn't. But getting together and seeing those industry friends and, kind of the informal collaboration and engagements and, chance meetings in between expos and all the breakout sessions and stuff like that. I think that's, there's a lot of magic there. And super excited to get back to that stuff.
And let's keep our fingers crossed that all of the colleagues that join us for the beginning of the show are going to be with us going home at the end of the show, that nobody
Yes.
has to get stuck in the country this year, as opposed to what happened for last year's ISE. And we won't
Yep.
get into that, but it's a nice private story.
Yep.
So anything else you want to let people know, how to reach out to you if they want information from you, how to get in touch with John or Zoom to get any more information about what we talked about?
Yeah. So I'm on Twitter, I'm on LinkedIn, so we can put social handles there. Connected to you obviously on all platforms. I think just kind of some closing comments just around. There's so much excitement right now, I think, between Zoom and the Poly HP partnership and alliance right now, especially you guys coming together, which has been great to offer even more flexible options for our joint customers. And the Poly appliance portfolio has been fantastic, and customers have been deploying the Studio X series, endpoints for a while, but there are still needs for PC based, room designs and, getting
And
more
we now have some Zoom Room kits that we offer.
So that's a big one. As we know, we've been working on more bundled kits to leverage HP compute and, Poly's best of breed cameras and whatnot. So I think even just kind of building those bundles, which makes it easy to consume small, medium, large rooms, whether they want to go on the Android appliance platform or Windows, those choices. I mean, that customer, it's really been resonating well. I think it's been exciting for us because we were partners already with HP and Poly, but to see that come together, it really looks like, one of those 1 + 1 = 3 type partnerships where it's not just, we had some competing products, we're coming together. It really has been complementary. And when you look at the full new Zoom platform wheel, which seems to update every month when we add new products to it, and then you kind of layer all the devices that you all have that complement that portfolio, everything from handsets and headsets for our phone and contact center, our room technology, compute to run our applications, whether it's signage or our virtual kiosks. It really is a nice end-to-end a portfolio that complements each other very well. And so I think those three powerful industry names now with Zoom, Poly, HP coming together really has been tons of excitement. It's got that multiplier effect on our customers.
What a coincidence. That's actually the three names that you have right on top
It
of your
is.
screen.
Yeah, I have
It's like, wow.
my fancy new virtual background, accounting for all those. But so I mean, it's, like I said, the value of all three of these brands, together is certainly recognized in the industry. So it's been really exciting to see that all come together. Yeah.
John, thank you very much for joining us today. Thank you for filling in our viewers on that, and hopefully I will see you and thank you in person in Barcelona in about a week or so. So
Absolutely.
that's it for Poly Weekly News for this week. I'm your host, David Danto. For all of my colleagues at HP and Poly and all of my friends at Zoom, thank you very much for joining us, and we'll see you next week.
Thanks all. Safe travels for all those, and look forward to seeing you. Thanks, David.